All right, welcome back now to the KFYR Plus News Desk. And the term burnout hits home for many people. It's that feeling of not being motivated to get the job done. But now, new data shows that the newest generation of workers is experiencing that burnout far sooner than ever before. Gen Z and millennials reported feeling burnout at a much earlier age than past generations. And one of the top stressors reported, of course, surprise, surprise, is finance. Joining me right now to further break down this issue is Meredith Elliott Powell, an expert on being mentally fit. Welcome, Meredith. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Looking forward to the conversation.
Well, Meredith, a recent poll has found that the average American experienced peak burnout at about 42 years of age. But it looks very different for Gen Z and millennial respondents who said that their stress levels reached a peak when they were 25 years old. Why is this midlife crisis happening so early?
Well, I think you said a lot of it. One of the biggest reasons is finances. These young people are coming out of school in unbelievable debt. The job market isn't great. They're struggling to kind of find a job that will help them, take care of that debt. Home prices are off the chart, rent of apartments. And then they've got a little bit of the FOMO thing going on. There's a lot of pressure on them with social media and things like that to have maybe live a little bit beyond their means.
Absolutely. Can you explain what burnout is and how it really manifests in younger generations like the Gen Z and millennials?
Yeah, burnout is when you just say, time out, I need to take a break. I need to get off this hamster wheel. I can't do this anymore. And you're watching them start to leave the workforce and maybe taking a job where they're a backpack guide or waiting tables for a couple of years. Or tomorrow morning I'm going to take a tennis lesson with one of those young Gen Zs who just walked away from a big corporate job in Dallas, Texas. And he thought it was only going to last a year, but now he's been here 3.
So what are the key differences in burnout symptoms between younger and older generations?
Well, I think when you're 42 years old, a lot of people already have a family, they've already got a mortgage, and you sort of got to suck it up and keep plugging through the burnout. The challenge, I think, with the Gen Z generation is that they've got a choice. They're opting to live back home with their parents or taking a job where they can at least pay the minimal, the minimum on their bills. The problem is that is going to cost them in the long run. You're 25, 30 years old. These are your formative years. They're the time to get in, really learn a good skill, get in with a good company, find promotion opportunities, mentors, and things like that. But at 42, you can't really opt out of the workforce. At 25, you can't.
Sure. Well, how significant is the role of financial stress in the burnout experienced by these younger generations?
It's extreme. I would say it's probably over 50% of the reason that they're burning out. Think about it. When I was young, student loan rates it was less expensive to borrow money than it was to put it in a savings account. College tuitions have gotten off the chart, and you're not guaranteed a good job anymore. So imagine you get out of school, you own a couple of $100,000, maybe you get married, your significant other is a couple of $100,000 in debt, you buy a couple of cars, and before you know it, you're $500,000 to $1 million in debt, and you're earning, even if you're earning $100,000 a year, doesn't go very far.
Sure. How does the social media impact the mental health and contribute to this burnout?
Probably one of the worst things for your mental health is the social media, because we all post the lives that we wish we had on social media, not what we're really going through. And so, you just try to right the ship and you're feeling all this stress, and then you get on social media and you see somebody's taken an amazing trip to Europe or they bought a new car, and you feel the pressure to do that. Now, I'm going to argue that's self-imposed. You don't need to do that, and you should be smart enough with your own finances, not to be sucked in by that, but I do think that plays a part in it.
Meredith, you kind of mentioned this a little earlier, that experiencing burnout at such a young age affects long-term career, not only goals, but prospects and even personal development.
Yeah, absolutely. your 20s and 30s, I always tell younger people when I'm coaching and working with them, this is your time to, take a job not based on how much money you make, but the people that you can learn from. And you're in there and you're 25, you're 30, into your early 30s. Think about it. In the next couple of years, we are going to experience the silver tsunami. It's one of the greatest exodus from the workforce we have ever seen, with more people turning 65 in the next 3 years than have ever before turned 65 in the U.S. As they move out, if you're not in position to come in, if you're not learning the skills now, you're going to miss leadership opportunities. You're going to miss development opportunities. And as fun as teaching tennis is, it isn't a career move for where you want to be when you're 40 and 45 years old.
I'm not sure if you can answer this or not, but are there differences in burnout rates among the Gen Z and millennials in different countries or different cultures?
Yeah, I think that it's burnout is exceptionally high in the U.S. more so than in other countries. Other countries don't have near the financial stress on young people that we do here in the U.S. But the younger generation internationally all over the globe is definitely experiencing a level of burnout. I would add to that I think burnout is accepted. It's okay. It's culturally all right to be burned out. I think in my day, maybe in your day, we might have felt burnout, but you just sort of had to keep going.
We did. We just had to soldier on through to get the pay for that apartment, didn't we? I mean, we wanted to continue our lifestyle.
Yeah.
Are there any
Yeah,
lessons that the younger generations can learn from older generations in managing stress and this burnout?
Yeah, I would say number one is, you need to find a good finance mentor. You really need to find somebody who can really help you understand money. If you haven't gone to college yet, really think about it. Maybe a trade school or starting out at a community college for a couple of years is maybe a smarter decision rather than putting yourself in extreme debt. And then I would say talk to older people. They've experienced what you've experienced too, and they can help you get through it. But more importantly, they can help you see the benefits of the other side. When I'm working with young people, I always say, just work hard. It'll pay off massive dividends in your 40s and your 50s. And you can't really see that when you're 25 years old.
Meredith, one final question. How do you see the trends in burnout evolving in the next, let's say, 5-10 years, and what societal changes are needed to address the root causes of burnout in these younger generations?
Yeah, I see the trend as getting far better, meaning we're going to see burnout decrease. I feel like the younger end of the Gen Z, they're getting smarter. The trades are coming back into fashion. People are getting burned out on feeling this pressure and feeling this stress. And so I think that the group that's going through it right now is going to set the tone for how bad it's going to be, and you're going to see the younger generations come behind them and be a little bit smarter about it.
Meredith Elliott Powell, thank you so much for the insight. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Have a great day now. All right, 10 minutes past the top of the hour. We're back with more next on KFYR+.